It began like any other year, a new era of peace between Earth and the galactic community. For centuries, humanity had worked tirelessly to earn its place among the stars, to break free from the confines of its homeworld. After the wars, the betrayals, and the uneasy alliances, Earth had emerged as a stabilizing force, negotiating peace and prosperity with distant species. The United Stellar Alliance had been formed, and Earth was one of its founding members. But just as the Earth was beginning to enjoy the fruits of its hard-won diplomacy, the unthinkable happened. The stars betrayed them. The invasion came with no warning. In the dead of night, the galactic fleets of the alien races, who had once sworn allegiance to Earth, turned their weapons upon the planet. It wasn't a declaration of war, it was an execution. Earth had been the foundation of the Alliance, and now, with a swift and brutal strike, it was to be eradicated. Across the vast reaches of space, from the marble moons of Terith to the molten core of Varkesh, fleets of ships descended upon Earth's defense lines, their weapons blazing with destructive fury. The initial wave of attack was devastating. The spaceports, the orbital stations, the military colonies scattered across the solar system. All were obliterated within hours. Earth itself, caught unaware by its supposed allies, was left defenseless, its cities shattered by the onslaught. Amid the chaos, there were those who refused to surrender. General Sylvia Volkov, commander of Earth's planetary defense forces, was among the first to rally the remaining military units. She had always been a staunch believer in the unity of the United Stellar Alliance, but now, facing annihilation, she turned her back on that dream. It was clear now that the stars had never truly cared for Earth. They had always viewed humanity as expendable, a tool to use and discard. And as the bombs rained down from the sky, as fires consumed the cities, as the once proud leaders of the Alliance remained silent or turned their backs, General Volkov made a vow. "We will survive this," she whispered, her voice cold as steel. "And when we do, we will make them regret ever crossing Earth." The remaining forces on Earth fought valiantly, but they were outmatched. The fleets of Earth's former allies overwhelmed them, and one by one, the military strongholds fell. Desperate, the last of humanity's defense lines turned to their secret weapon, the Arc Shield. Developed in the deepest, most secretive research facilities, the Arc Shield was Earth's final hope, a shield capable of absorbing the power of a star itself. But the cost was great. The Arc Shield could only hold for a limited time, and its activation required the sacrifice of those who manned the control stations. As the shield was deployed, it bought Earth a brief reprieve. But that wasn't enough. The invaders, seeing the shield as a threat to their overwhelming power, turned their focus to Earth's largest space station, Fort Aegis. A massive fortress orbiting the planet, Fort Aegis had been humanity's symbol of hope, a place where their most advanced weaponry and technologies were stored. It was meant to be Earth's last line of defense. But the Alliance didn't see it that way. A fleet of enemy ships, led by the Varkshan commander Tharak, appeared on the horizon. Tharak had once been an ally of Earth, a partner in the creation of the United Stellar Alliance. Now, he was the face of betrayal. On the surface of the station, a group of young officers scrambled to prepare for the inevitable assault. Lieutenant Anna Sharp, the youngest officer in command, stared out at the darkness of space, her mind racing. She had never imagined the day would come when their own allies would turn on them. She was certain the stars had their own reasons, that they weren't simply acting out of malice. But the truth didn't matter now. All that mattered was survival. "We'll hold the line," Anna muttered to herself, watching the enemy ships grow larger in the distance. Before the fleet could launch its final strike, the unimaginable happened. Fort Aegis, Earth's last stronghold, suddenly blinked out of existence. A single mysterious vessel, one that no one had ever seen before, appeared in the midst of the battle, its sleek black hull swallowing the stars. The strange ship fired a single shot, disintegrating the Varkshan fleet and reducing their battle cruisers to space debris. The ship hovered silently, and a single message was broadcast across every frequency. "We are Earth's legacy." The voice of an unknown commander echoed across the stars. "And we're not done." The galaxy held its breath as the mysterious ship withdrew, leaving behind a trail of stunned silence. For now, Earth had been saved, though it was far from over. The stars had betrayed them, but Earth had not forgotten. The fight was only beginning. The remnants of Earth's forces gathered in the aftermath of the battle. What had been left of their once vast military presence was now little more than scattered groups of survivors and the lingering, smoldering remains of space stations and orbital cities. General Sylvia Volkov had been forced to retreat to a hidden command center beneath the surface of Earth's moon, Titan. From there, she oversaw the rebuilding efforts. Though her spirit had been broken, the betrayal by the stars had been too deep, too brutal. The alliance had crumbled, and the truth became undeniable. Humanity was alone. But in the silence after the storm, humanity had a glimmer of hope. The mysterious ship that had appeared above Fort Aegis had not been an enemy vessel, as most had assumed, but something far more enigmatic, a symbol of power beyond anything Earth had ever known. It was a reminder of Earth's forgotten past. Lieutenant Anna Sharp, now promoted after the fall of many senior officers, was determined to understand what had happened. She'd never seen the ship before. It didn't belong to any known race, and no records of such technology existed in any of Earth's archives. But somehow, it had been there when they needed it most. "We need answers," Anna muttered as she sifted through the fragmented communications and data from the battle. Every trace of the unknown ship had been wiped from the systems. No one knew where it had come from or who had been aboard. But there was one lead that couldn't be ignored: the strange transmission. The message had been short, barely audible over the crackle of static. "We are Earth's legacy, and we are not done." Volkov knew the words carried weight. She couldn't shake the feeling that Earth's salvation lay somewhere in those cryptic words. And so, against the advice of her advisors, she put together a small team, including Lieutenant Sharp, to investigate. They set their sights on an ancient facility in the far reaches of the Kuiper Belt, a place Earth had long forgotten, a place that held secrets of the old world. Weeks passed as they traveled through the dark stretches of space, the remnants of Earth's fleet now a mere whisper in the void. What was once a proud and united force had been reduced to a handful of ships barely capable of defending against a single attack, but they pressed on. Their destination was a forgotten outpost, known as Elysium Station. This station was rumored to have been a top-secret military research hub during Earth's early days in space, a place where scientists and engineers worked on technologies that even the United Stellar Alliance didn't know about. When they finally arrived, they found a ghost station, abandoned and decaying. But there was something in the air, an energy, a presence that hinted at more. Inside, they found a vast underground facility, its walls lined with advanced technology and schematics that far surpassed anything Earth had produced after the wars. In the heart of the station, they discovered something far more extraordinary: a fleet. Not just any fleet, but a fleet of ships designed for one purpose: to defend Earth against the very betrayal that had nearly wiped it out. "These ships, they were built for us," Anna whispered in awe. "But why would they be left here?" Volkov stood at the center of the control room, her mind racing. The ships were powered by an unknown energy source, and their weapons technology was beyond comprehension. It was clear they had been designed for a time like this, when Earth was abandoned and forsaken by the stars. But there was no sign of who had left them or why. A series of holographic messages flickered to life on the command console, the words lost to time. One message, however, stood out, a single name etched in the data: Project Helios. Volkov's eyes narrowed. She had heard the name before, long ago, whispered among the higher echelons of the military. But what had it meant? What had Project Helios been? And how did it relate to the strange fleet they had discovered? The answers remained elusive, but one thing was clear: Earth had not been completely abandoned. A force was watching, waiting. And for the first time since the attack, Volkov felt something stir within her, a sense of purpose. "This fleet, it's ours," she said, her voice steel-hard. "We will not hide. We will fight." With the discovery of Project Helios, Volkov knew the true war was about to begin. The stars might have betrayed Earth, but Earth had not forgotten. And now, with this new fleet at their disposal, humanity was about to remind the galaxy that it had never truly been defeated. But the truth was far more complex than even they knew. The stars had turned their backs on Earth, but they hadn't been the only ones with secrets. Someone had watched over Earth from the shadows, and the legacy of that protection was about to reveal itself in ways no one could have predicted. As the ships powered up and prepared for their first journey into the stars, Volkov looked out into the abyss of space, knowing that what awaited them could either be a new beginning or a final extinction. The battle for Earth's survival was far from over. It had only just begun. The first jump into the unknown came without warning. Volkov had ordered the fleet, now dubbed the Helios Armada, into deep space, beyond the edge of the known galaxy. The fleet, once dormant, had awakened with an intensity and precision that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Each ship was equipped with technology that exceeded anything Earth had ever seen. But with that power came a weighty responsibility, one that Volkov understood more than anyone else. They were no longer just survivors. They were a message. "We are Earth's legacy." The words echoed again in her mind, the cryptic transmission from the mysterious ship that had saved them. Those words had become a rallying cry. The galaxy might have turned its back on them, but Earth would not go quietly into the night. And if their former allies thought they had extinguished humanity's flame, they were gravely mistaken. The fleet's first mission was one of reconnaissance. Volkov and her crew had set a course for the inner rim of the galaxy, a region known for its wealth and power, where the remaining factions of the United Stellar Alliance had retreated after the attack on Earth. The alliance might have fractured, but the powerful elites who once governed it were still intact. Their betrayal had not been the action of a single entity, but a coordinated effort. And Volkov had made it her mission to uncover the truth behind that betrayal. Lieutenant Sharp, now Volkov's trusted advisor, sat at her side in the command room, analyzing the data streams from their scanners. "There's something wrong with the transmission channels," she muttered, frowning at the fluctuating signals on her console. "It's almost as if they're being blocked from the inside." Volkov leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Sharp said, tapping her screen, "we're picking up irregularities in the galactic communication grid. It's almost like someone doesn't want us to hear certain things or see them." A cold realization settled over Volkov like a shroud. "Are you saying the Alliance is hiding something?" Sharp hesitated. "I'm saying they've been hiding something from the very beginning." Before Volkov could respond, an alarm blared through the command center. The ship shook violently, sending several crew members tumbling to the floor. Volkov gripped the edge of her chair, her mind racing. "Report," she barked. "Multiple ships approaching from the far side," the tactical officer shouted. "They're not registering as friendly, definitely not Alliance vessels." "Battle stations," Volkov commanded, slamming her fist down on the armrest. The Helios Armada was not a fleet designed for subtlety. It was built for annihilation, a force capable of taking on entire fleets without hesitation. But this was no mere skirmish. Something felt wrong. The approaching ships grew larger on the view screen, a ragtag fleet of mismatched designs, dark and unmarked, far outside the expected boundaries of the galactic rim. The ships moved with purpose, and their weapons were already powered up. "They're firing," the officer shouted. "Brace for impact." The first blast struck the lead ship of the Armada with a deafening roar. The energy shields held, but only just. Volkov didn't hesitate. "Return fire. Full power to forward guns." The Helios Armada responded with a fury that rattled the very fabric of space. Massive plasma cannons, powered by the advanced technology they'd uncovered, lit up the void, tearing through the enemy ships with deadly precision. But despite their firepower, the enemy ships didn't falter. They continued to advance, their shields absorbing the blasts with alarming efficiency. "We're dealing with something more advanced than we thought," Sharp called out. "These ships are using similar technology to ours, but they've modified it. They're adapting." "Then we'll out-adapt them," Volkov growled. "Initiate the Elysium Protocol." bring the fleet into formation. The Elysium Protocol was an advanced tactic designed for overwhelming firepower and surprise maneuvers, a strategy developed by the scientists who had once worked on Project Helios. It was the only card they had left to play. The fleet reorganized, the ships moving in a coordinated dance of fire and precision, each ship working in tandem with the others to create a wall of destruction. For a moment, it seemed as though the enemy ships would be overwhelmed. But then, just as suddenly, a new ship appeared from the shadowed depths of space, a massive, black vessel that seemed to swallow the stars themselves. On the main view screen, the ship's sleek, angular design made it look almost familiar. Volkov's pulse quickened as recognition hit her like a punch to the gut. "That ship," she muttered. "It's not theirs. It's ours." The black vessel was unmistakably a relic of Earth's forgotten past. A design that was never meant to see the light of day. It was part of the same fleet they had found in Elysium Station. The ship moved with eerie grace, cutting through the chaos with lethal precision. It fired once, and the enemy ships exploded into dust, not even time to retaliate. The unknown vessel came to a stop in the center of the battlefield. A message flared across the communications console, its signal encrypted and fragmented, but the words were unmistakable. "We are Helios. The shadows are never far behind." Volkov's heart skipped a beat. The message was from them, from the very beings that had created the fleet. But who were they? And why had they waited so long to reveal themselves? As the unknown vessel's engines powered down, it transmitted a series of coordinates that led directly to the heart of the former United Stellar Alliance, the place where the betrayal had begun. The time had come to face the truth, to uncover what the stars had hidden from humanity all along. And Volkov knew that the galaxy would never be the same again, because Earth was no longer just a forgotten world. It was the torchbearer of a revolution that would echo through the stars. The Helios Armada was ready for war, and this time it would not be Earth that fell. It would be the galaxy that burned. The coordinates transmitted by the mysterious vessel led the Helios Armada to an area of space that was deep within the heart of what had once been the core of the United Stellar Alliance. It was an area that no one had dared to approach since the catastrophic collapse of the Alliance, the birthplace of the galaxy's most powerful and secretive factions. Volkov stood at the bridge of the flagship Aegis, her mind racing. What she had suspected was now undeniable. The betrayal of Earth had not been a single act of malice, but a carefully orchestrated conspiracy, a plan designed to eliminate humanity from the galactic stage for good. But who could be behind it? And more importantly, why? As the fleet approached the designated coordinates, a massive structure began to materialize out of the darkness, hidden among the dense asteroid fields. At first, it appeared to be a natural formation, a large cluster of asteroids, densely packed and shaped almost artificially. But as they drew closer, the truth became clear. The asteroids were nothing more than a veil, hiding a colossal space station, an ancient, forgotten facility that had been built millennia before the rise of the United Stellar Alliance. Its architecture was far beyond the technological level of the current galaxy's races. Massive, angular monoliths rose from the surface of the station, stretching into the void like the fingers of a long-dead god reaching for the stars. This is it," Lieutenant Sharp breathed, her voice filled with awe. "It's not just a military installation. It's a temple, a relic." Volkov studied the station with suspicion. "A temple?" she asked, her voice cold. "It doesn't look like one." Sharp hesitated, then spoke again, this time with more caution. "I'm not saying it's a place of worship, but this is ancient, older than the Alliance by far. If Earth's ancestors had knowledge of this place, it might explain a lot of what's happening now. The technology, the fleet we discovered, everything." Volkov's mind was already turning over possibilities. "I need answers, not speculation. We're going in." The fleet moved into position, docking with the massive station. The air was thick with tension as Earth's last defenders prepared to enter the unknown. A team of elite soldiers, led by Lieutenant Sharp and General Volkov herself, suited up in their armor, preparing to explore the alien structure. They boarded a small shuttle and made their way to the docking bay. The doors of the station slid open with a groan, revealing an immense hall that stretched out before them. The walls were etched with symbols that were unlike anything the humans had seen before, alien glyphs whose meanings were lost to time. Yet there was something hauntingly familiar about them, a strange resonance that Volkov could feel deep in her bones. A low hum reverberated through the air as they moved deeper into the station. The deeper they went, the more the atmosphere shifted. There was a presence here, an intelligence that felt both distant and eerily close. It was as if the station itself was watching them, waiting for them to uncover its secrets. Finally, they arrived at the core of the station, a vast chamber where a massive holographic display flickered to life. The figure that appeared was a being unlike anything they had ever seen. Tall and ethereal, its form shimmered as if it were made of light and shadow. The being's eyes were pools of endless darkness, radiating an aura of profound knowledge and ancient power. "You have come," the figure intoned, its voice resonating within their minds rather than their ears. "You seek the truth of Earth's legacy." Volkov stepped forward, her voice resolute. "Who are you? And why have you watched over us? What is this place?" The figure tilted its head, as if contemplating the question. "I am one of the keepers, those who watched over your ancestors. This place is known as the Vault of the Ancients, an archive of all knowledge, of all power. It is here that the truth of the galaxy was hidden." "The truth?" Sharp asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The truth about what?" "The truth about the stars," the keeper replied, its form flickering. "The truth about the first war, the war that shaped the fate of the galaxy long before the formation of your alliance. A war between the ancient species of the galaxy, a war that ended with the creation of the United Stellar Alliance itself. But it was not peace that came from that war. It was a lie that has been passed down through the ages." Volkov's mind raced. "A lie?" she asked. "What do you mean?" The keeper's form seemed to ripple, and the air grew cold with a deep, ancient sorrow. The United Stellar Alliance was not formed to bring peace to the galaxy, but to ensure the dominance of the few. Earth was always meant to be a pawn in their game. Its strength, its potential, its ability to rise above the others was seen as a threat. You were never meant to thrive. Your existence was a mistake. Sharp stepped forward, her brow furrowed. "But the ships we found, Project Helios, why were they left for us?" "They were not left for you," the keeper said softly. "They were left for the day when the galaxy would betray you, the day when you would uncover the truth. They are part of a greater plan, one that has been set in motion for millennia." Volkov's chest tightened. "A plan? What plan?" "The plan to destroy the galaxy's false peace," the keeper replied, its eyes glowing with an unsettling intensity. "To restore balance to the stars. To bring about a new age, one where Earth and its descendants will rule, not as slaves to the galaxy's rulers, but as masters of the stars themselves." The silence in the chamber was deafening as the words hung in the air. Volkov could feel the weight of the revelation crashing down on her. Earth was not just a survivor of the galaxy's betrayals. It was the key to something far greater. But it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about reshaping the very order of the galaxy. The keeper's voice echoed once more. "The stars betrayed Earth. But Earth will not be content with vengeance alone. You will rise, and the galaxy will never forget what you are about to become." Volkov stood tall, her eyes burning with new resolve. "Then let them remember. Let them fear us." As the keeper's holographic form flickered and faded, the vast chamber fell silent once more, leaving only the resounding hum of ancient power and a galaxy waiting to be reshaped. And Earth, now a force in its own right, was ready to take its place at the center of it all. The galaxy, once united under the fragile banner of the United Stellar Alliance, now teetered on the edge of a new era. Earth, scarred and betrayed, had long since cast aside the remnants of the false peace that had kept the stars in line. General Sylvia Volkov and the newly christened Helios Armada were no longer mere survivors. They were now the harbingers of a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. The vault of the ancients had given them a purpose. The Keeper's cryptic revelation had revealed the true nature of the Alliance's creation and Earth's place within it. Earth had been engineered to be subjugated, its power held in check by the stars. But now, with the weapons of Project Helios at their disposal, Earth was ready to turn the tables. No longer would they serve as pawns. They would be the rulers, and the galaxy would bow or burn. With the Helios Armada fully equipped and the fleet's combat prowess honed in numerous skirmishes along their journey, Volkov knew it was time to make their move. But their path was not without peril. The galaxy's elites, those who had once been the architects of Earth's downfall, were gathering their forces. The stars had not forgotten Earth's betrayal, and they would stop at nothing to prevent humanity from claiming its place in the cosmos. The first target was the heart of the former United Stellar Alliance, a massive fortress world known as Velorn Prime. Located at the intersection of several major galactic trade routes, Velorn Prime was the center of galactic diplomacy, home to thousands of ambassadors, generals, and powerful elites. If the Helios Armada could take Velorn, they would send a message to the galaxy that Earth was no longer to be ignored. Volkov stood in the command center of the Aegis, her gaze fixed on the digital map of the galaxy. Her eyes narrowed as the coordinates for Velorn Prime flickered on the screen. "The time has come," she said, her voice low but resolute. "We take the heart of the Alliance. We show them what happens when you underestimate Earth." Lieutenant Anna Sharp, now her most trusted ally, stood beside her. "Intel suggests the Alliance is assembling its fleet in orbit above Velorn," she reported. "But it's fragmented, General. It's not the unified force we once faced. The Alliance is fractured." "Perfect," Volkov muttered. "A divided enemy is an enemy that can be defeated." With a signal, the Helios Armada jumped into hyperspace, its ships flaring like stars caught in the same tempest. As they emerged from the jump, the dark expanse of Velorn Prime loomed ahead. The fortress world was surrounded by a powerful fleet, but Volkov knew this was nothing more than a hollow shell, a final, desperate attempt to maintain control. The enemy fleet's commander, Admiral Karnix of the Arkhari, an ancient and proud race who had been among the first to turn against Earth, opened a comm channel. "Earth," Karnix's voice echoed across the screen, filled with a mix of contempt and fear. "You think you can undo what has been built? You are nothing. You always were nothing." Volkov's response was cold and direct. "You were wrong, Karnix. You all were. And now it's time to pay for your betrayal." Without another word, Volkov gave the command. The Helios Armada surged forward, its ships moving in perfect formation. The first wave of firepower from the enemy fleet was a futile attempt to slow their advance, but the technology Earth now wielded was far superior. The enemy's weapons fizzled against the strengthened shields of the Helios ships. Their cannons, once capable of annihilating entire fleets, now merely bounced off Earth's advanced energy barriers. The battle that followed was fierce, but it was never in doubt. The Helios Armada, now a perfected force of precision and power, tore through the enemy ranks. Ships were torn apart by the mighty plasma cannons of Earth's fleet, and the remaining enemies were quickly overwhelmed. The once immense might of the United Stellar Alliance was reduced to rubble in mere hours. But as the battle raged, Volkov knew that this victory, though significant, was only the beginning. The true power of the galaxy's rulers lay not in their fleets, but in their control over the ancient forces that governed the stars themselves. If Earth was to claim its rightful place at the helm, they would have to do more than conquer Velorn Prime. They would need to strike at the heart of the Alliance's deepest secrets. A final message came through, one that cut through the static of the battlefield. "This is not over," a voice, cold and unfamiliar, whispered across the comms. "You may have won today, but the stars will not kneel to you. They never will." Volkov's heart tightened. This voice, it was familiar. She had heard it once, long ago, echoing from the depths of the vault. It was the voice of the first, the progenitor of the Keeper, the architect of the ancient war that had shaped the galaxy. And it had one final warning. Earth is but a spark in the darkness, the voice continued. And sparks are always extinguished. Volkov's fist clenched. She would not be intimidated. Earth was no longer a pawn. They were the reckoning. And if the stars wanted to fight, they would find that Earth would never back down. The fleet arrived at Velorn Prime, victorious. The remnants of the enemy fleet floating in silent orbit. The planet, once a shining symbol of galactic dominance, now lay in Earth's hands. As the Helios Armada began to land, Volkov knew that this was not a moment of triumph, but a beginning. The galaxy had underestimated Earth for far too long. They had forgotten the true strength of humanity, the resilience, the spirit, and the unbreakable will to survive. And now the stars would learn. Earth would no longer be a forgotten world. It would be the force that reshaped the stars themselves. And in the depths of space, the galaxy would tremble as the legacy of Earth burned bright. The stars had betrayed them, but Earth would not forgive. Earth would remake the galaxy.